Welcome to the world of Deeptech. In this video, we will understand the market research that we need to do during the experimental development stage of taking advanced technologies from lab to market. This is the stage where the technology and the value it can create is demonstrated to and realized by the first customers. It comprises of a proof of concept stage where the technology's abilities are first demonstrated in the lab, and a proof of value stage where it is demonstrated in real-life environment. For this video, we will focus on these two stages. Let's look at the market research required before we start building a proof of concept prototype. As we discussed in my earlier video, the same technology can be applied to create different kinds of solutions targeting different customers. Each of these solutions will have to be developed independently and taken to different markets. Sometimes this diversity of applications comes downstream, where your solution can go into different markets. Before we proceed to build our proof of concept prototype, we should understand the different solutions we plan to build, their potential comparative advantages, and market sizes. The riskiest technical assumptions to be validated in order to develop the most attractive of these solutions are used as the basis for building the proof of concept prototype. A proof of concept prototype is a static validation of the technical assumptions. It allows us to demonstrate the technology to different stakeholders and generate the performance data. The feedback and performance data helps us identify the obvious flaws in the technology. It will also help us validate assumptions regarding potential markets and solutions for these markets, as different people viewing the prototype and performance data will present different possible scenarios for applications. It will also help us identify the technology development tasks and testing protocols to reflect the requirements of the real world. Many times, the validation provided in the simulated environment of the lab is not sufficient to convince the stakeholders of the potential of the technology, and further validation of its value in the actual live environment is required. Before we jump into building the proof of value prototype that provides this dynamic validation in real-life environment, an in-depth market research is required, as this step is expensive, resource-intensive, and time-consuming. Starting with different market segments and potential solutions that can be built for these market segments using the technology, we identify the customers for each of the solutions. This is done through in-depth interviews of potential customers and understanding their most urgent needs. As we saw in our earlier videos, the potential customers generally fall into different categories of the technology adoption curve. Customers who have a problem that you can solve and feel the urgency to solve it and have been actively looking for solutions are the innovators whom you want to target to conduct your proof of value validation. Identification of the target solution and customer segments requires balancing the potential value creation with the challenges we are likely to face in capturing this value. To identify the potential for value creation, we need to address the right problems that the customers want to solve urgently. We should also identify the comparative advantage of the solution we can potentially build based on the technology we are developing. We should also assess the market size and its growth potential, in addition to answering viability issues such as customer acquisition costs and margins. While there may be several markets which have high potential for value creation, there might be several challenges to realizing this value. These include the time it takes to develop a solution based on the technology, implementation obstacles like scalability, integration, reachability of the market, and availability of resources to develop the solution. It also includes external risks like change in regulatory environment, competitive landscape, and network effects that may lead to delay or loss of value creation opportunities. Based on the in-depth interviews and the assessment of the balance between potential value creation and challenges to value capture in each of the segments identified at the end of proof of concept stage, we now have a shorter list of potential markets, solutions we can develop for those markets, and the likely customers in each of the segments. We can also prioritize the market segments and the solutions we want to develop for each of them. We can then identify overlapping requirements for technology validation for these solutions. These could be requirements on factors like reliability, lifetime performance, maintenance, installation, and end-of-life disposal. These technical requirements are then filtered through the available resources, existing IP portfolio, practical implementation issues, time to market considerations, and team competencies to identify the critical technical capabilities that will be demonstrated in the proof of value prototype. A good proof of value prototype will provide dynamic validation of the technology in real-life environment. It enables identification of areas for further improvement, identification of use cases for creating value, and demonstrate the value creation. It will also help us identify the issues related to scaling up the solution towards broader adoption in the market segment and potential pricing models to capture the value from the customers. To summarize, we looked at the market research we need to do when moving from proof of principle to proof of concept and from proof of concept to proof of value prototypes. By identifying the critical technical requirements, this process can create value for the team and the technology we are trying to commercialize. With that, I thank you for watching this video. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Thank you.